And we're going to pass off the mic to Kevin so people online and here can hear him better.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. Morning, everyone. How are you doing? Beautiful day, right? Thanks for hanging with us here for a few minutes. As you know, periodically we like to update you, the congregation, on what's going on at your church. How about that? So we're going to take a quick look, and we have people that will come up and talk to you like we usually do about what's going on in different areas of the ministry here at the church. And then if you have questions, you can ask them while they're up here, or you can wait till after that we're all finished, and you can catch us out in the foyer, or however you prefer to do it. Sometimes your question is a question somebody else might have as well. So the first batter up here, I think, is going to be, Pastor's going to come up. We have a couple of our board members that are not here this morning. They're out doing different things, so we'll cover for them because we all kind of know what's going on with everybody, so we can cover. All right.
And next slide, please. Okay, good. Yeah, that's the agenda. Outreach, adult, youth, property, elder, finance. Same as always. Next slide, please. All right, Russ is not with us today, so I'm going to take over for him. All right, Moms and Tots, Tuesdays in February. If I could just have Jenny Rose stand up. I'm not going to make you talk. Yeah, there she is. Okay, she has done an incredible job. She does not want to toot her own horn. That's why I'm here. And so that's just in like the first week. That is shaving cream painting. If you've never done it, it's a great time. And so it's been, you have 5 families, Jenny? 5 families, 7 kids, yeah. So it's been exciting. And right off the get-go, with not that much advertising or anything, word of mouth is the best way, of course. So I'm excited to see where this goes. You can sit down. Thank you. So if you have any questions, and please do tell your friends that it's an exciting opportunity. We'll hear a little bit more. Jason will talk about it more in his report. And next slide, please. Easter for Kids is coming up. I believe it is the week. It's the Saturday. I think it's the 8th. It'll be on the calendar. But Jenny is kind of priming the pump. And then to push everyone into an Easter for Kids and our other 4 Kids events and Trunk or Treat, so that they become friends of ours and then hopefully friends of our Savior is the ultimate goal. Next slide. This is under adult discipleship too, but I did this 9 years ago, and the reason you're going to see the shack again is because on March 3rd, that's the first Sunday in Lent, it is being released as a motion picture. And it's kind of weird. However, there are few other books that have done a better job illustrating grace than this book. And so we're going to plow through some of the weird stuff. It's not a bad idea to look at the Trinity and what it really is. And it's not, God the Father is not a big black woman. But for the purposes of this book, that might seem odd. So, and this is the first time I think I've ever made you buy a book before for Sunday Bible class. You have 2 Sundays to sign up. I think a lot of you already have a copy. I know I've talked to some of you. So if you want to, please sign up. It's $10 on Amazon. You can just put the money in the plate at your leisure. And I will get the order in. The deadline is next week, Sunday. So you'll still have another week after that to read the first couple chapters. Okay? Next slide. That is the spring schedule. And that's good enough right there. I'll let that soak in for you. And we're going to send this out in the emails, so you don't need to write it down now. But Moms and Tots is going Thursdays at 10 o'clock. The youth lock-in, February the 17th. Ash Wednesday with the soup supper prior to it at 5:30. Church cleaning day is tentatively scheduled for April the 1st at 9 a.m. Easter for Kids, April the 8th. Good Friday. Easter breakfast. Easter, of course, on April 16th. Madrigal dinner. If you're not familiar with that, we did one last year in January. There's a group here, actually yesterday was their big shindig, the Society for Creative Anachronism, SCA. It's like a Renaissance group. They do these madrigal dinners, and they pick a time period in a country, and they make a feast complete with music, song, dance. It was kind of cool if anybody went last year. And they want to do that again as a thank you to our congregation. We can sell tickets. To me, any kind of outreach events, if people come into our building and have a good experience, I have a better chance of becoming a friend of them and our congregation, and then we can share our Savior. That's all I want to do. So, and Ask God is our twice-a-year event where we invite the community to ask questions. All right, and adult discipleship, I'll still do this one too for Scott. Next slide, please. Just to give you kind of a roundup for what we're doing now, we still have God's Love, Our Love, 2 more lessons this month, and then the shack. And the ladies group is just finishing up. I talked to Linda. They're just finishing up Bad Girls of the Bible. And then they're going to start a new one probably in March. Linda, is that probably? Yeah. All right. They're averaging 6. They've been meeting at your house, Linda, right? This week, okay. Keep posted. I'll try to have updates in the bulletin as that goes. And next slide. The Lenten Sermon Series is cross-examinations, questions from Jesus. I suppose number 4 is from Pontius Pilate. Next slide. Men's lunch is coming up this week. It's going to be at Duke's, chosen this week by Roland, I believe, right? Yep, okay, good. Next slide is Jason in a youth discipleship report. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. You can go ahead and advance to the next slide, please. Just a shout out once again for the moms and tots, and you can see that it is well planned out, and it's not just showing up and what are we going to do now, but very well organized, so we appreciate that. If you have children or know of people that have children that can take advantage of this, by all means, a great opportunity. Next slide. Coming up here, if recently you found yourself saying, I'm getting way too much sleep, I need to do something about that to somehow some way cut down on that, see me, that we can help you out with that problem next Friday into Saturday. An annual, we do this time of year, a lock-in for the youth so they can get together, and usually there's some great food, fellowship, and fun that they'll go over to next door and do some singing. They'll have a little devotional study with pastor, and then whatever else, video games, games here in the church and stuff like that. So youth of the church, make note of this, extend invitation to your friends that, we always enjoy having a big house full or church full of people, youth coming to do that. So that's coming up next week, and that's it for me. Other than Sunday school is still going smoothly. Thank you to all the volunteers that help out with that, and obviously if you have Sunday school age kids during the service, feel free to send them back.
All right, next slide. Imagine that. This time of the year, we get to cut grass again. Encourage volunteers, as always, from year to year for helping cut grass. Grass grows here just like it does in your own yard, so any help that I can get will be greatly appreciated. All right, next slide, please. Anybody care to guess what that is? Does anybody know how many light bulbs are in this facility? There is a lot of lights here. Part of future planning is to try to modify all the lights here to go with some sort of an LED fixture. And I think that everybody also can see sometimes in our sanctuary the lighting level is kind of low. So there is some planning for future to add more light fixtures in the sanctuary. So it is a lofty plan right now, but at least for planning purposes, just sharing with the congregation what I have in store. Next slide, please. That is supposed to represent vacuuming. Part of our task here is to gather families, and you can see on the back of the bulletin, and I'll speak to the printer in just a moment, we try to have families help us every other week to do church cleaning. So part of that is vacuuming, just like it would be for cleaning restrooms and that kind of thing. We have our Easter season coming up. So some of the tasks that we're going to do is some more carpet cleaning and that kind of thing. So anything that we can do from a congregation to make our church property look nicer, that's what we try to do. One of the other comments, with our printer, for the last few weeks we've struggled with our printer, copier, and we're trying to figure out what our best options are for that. But online for cleaning, usher duties, all of that is generally listed on the back of our bulletin. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. And I think, Pastor, all that is online, correct? So if anybody has questions regarding any of the assignment, or if you have an occasion where you're not going to be here at that particular time, feel free to talk to me about it. I think we do a pretty good job of overlapping and helping one another. Ushers are a great example. Mr. Joe can speak to this too, that if somebody is not here for a Sunday, there's quite a few of us that don't mind standing in to help out our other folks in the congregation. Trying to think if I had anything else. Next slide. All right. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, I do want to mention that. Something that's kind of interesting about this church property is we're very popular with breakdowns or other things, vehicles turning around, police running through our cable that we have to the back part of the property. So today's example is not unusual for this church property. There seems to be good visits and bad visits. So unfortunately, this was a bad visit for the vehicle outside. We've kind of been told that the vehicle will be towed away this afternoon or as soon as possible. So I'll have to make sure that we clean up the glass and stuff out in the parking lot. Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Moving ahead, next slide for the elder report. The church attendance is actually up a couple ticks. We had 5 Sundays in January. One of them was, of course, ICE, and there were 25 screens. And you figure 2 to 4 per screen. That wasn't bad at all, honestly. And on average, we have 5 viewers, 5 screens on a Sunday morning. And that live screen, that worship service is there all week. So whether it's Sunday evening or Tuesday night or whenever, you can just go to that live worship page and see the whole service. And next slide. The one thing that may jump out there is it looks like we shrunk drastically. And what I did was I updated the membership roster. There were some families who had moved away and I know had joined another Christian church, but I did not take them off of our rolls. I did this year. I thought, it's been 14 years. If God calls me home this year, the next guy's going to kind of shake his head and wonder, what is going on here? So that's a little bit more accurate. In general, if somebody leaves our church, I don't take them off our roster unless I know that they have joined a different church. Because if it's in doubt, I kind of just leave them on because you never know what opportunity for ministry there might be for us. But in this case, these were all people that I knew. And so there's still some on our roster that are kind of in limbo that I'm trying to work with. But next. Howard.
Good morning, everyone. Did everybody hear about the 2 antennae that got married? My understanding is the service didn't go so well, but the reception was great. Okay, now that we lighten the mood, let's look at the financials, shall we? Next slide, please. Here is our year of 2016. You'll see that we did have a budgeted loss and also an actual loss of $3,700. Those of you who've seen our progress over last year and seen the updated reports know that really the loss, the main part of that loss was because of the new HVAC system that was put in last year. So there isn't really much more on that. Next slide, please. And then in January, we did, as Pastor said, we did have 5 Sundays. Unfortunately, one was snowed out, and one was also a holiday. So as we look at that, we see the loss of $218, which in and of itself isn't really that bad, but it's a little concerning that we would start off with a deficit. It's only 1 month, we understand that, and as we go forward, we'll see what kind of pattern we have. So maybe for this year, the next report you get when we have the next meeting will be more telling. Also, I want to say I'm really just a figurehead as treasurer. Tom Clarkson, thank you very much for the transition that you gave to us. But in terms of the number crunching and the expenses, Penny Recht is actually doing that work. Would you stand up, please, Penny? And just so everybody knows. Thank you, Penny. She's doing a great job. And so if you have any questions about collections or offerings or anything, that's still me, but anything expense-wise, I'll field your question, but essentially it'll go through Penny. So, any questions on the financials? Okay. Sorry, I stole your joke.
That's right. I forgot to tell Howard that all jokes had to be cleared through the council before you attempted them, because you don't do jokes, but it's a good icebreaker, I guess. Any questions from anyone? We've got some new people here, I know, maybe not used to this format, but this is how we, as I mentioned earlier, communicate with you, because sometimes in church it's in and out, and we don't get a chance to communicate what's going on here. And I think you can tell by the list of actions up there, we got a lot of stuff going on, and that comes directly from the idea that other people in the congregation, want to help out and are helping.